it going, everybody, and welcome to my review of Toy Story 4, the fourth chapter in the very popular Pixar animated film series. So this installment was directed by Josh Cooley and pretty much has the return of basically all the characters that we know and love from the first three films. Tom Hanks as Woody, Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear, etc. So by the end of the third chapter, of course, Andy had passed all his toys on to a young girl named Bonnie, and in this film, Bonnie creates, in her first day of kindergarten, a new character named Forky, who's basically a spork with a bunch of really primitive bits and pieces added to him. So Forky becomes sentient and goes through a bit of an existential crisis, wondering who he is and how he became alive. But due to this crisis, Forky ends up running away, so all the toys have to go and try and rescue him because he means a lot to Bonnie. The toys realize just, you know, what his place is in her life. In the meantime, they wind up in an antique store where a doll named Gabby, she wants something that Woody has. Not gonna spoil too much there. So the adventure goes from this RV to an amusement park to the antique store where Woody is reunited with Bo Peep. She's finally back into this film and it's explained as to why she was not present in the third film. Now the first Toy Story film came out in 1995, going way back, and of course the second one came out in 99, only a few years after. And then it wasn't until 2010 that we actually got Toy Story 3. There was a considerable wait between the two films, but when number 3 came out, it felt like a closing chapter. You know, that was Andy's story, it was out of the way, and even though a lot of years had passed between them, like, yeah, it just felt like a contained story. So when they announced that Toy Story 4 was coming out, you know, we live in a world where there's a lot of cash grab films, and let's face it, with the failures of things like Men in Black International, X-Men Dark Phoenix, there's a whole list of movies that just haven't really been doing well and have just felt like blatant cash grabs. And so I was a little bit worried that this movie might fall into that category. I mean, last night I just rewatched the first 3 Toy Stories all in a row, and like, I would give each of those films a 10 out of 10. They are just the most perfect animated or CG animated films out there. But early reviews of Toy Story 4 were quite favorable, so, you know, I went in thinking to myself, well, I hope this is going to be good. And oh wow, it wasn't good, it was freaking fantastic. The most important thing that really I got from this film, it wasn't just sort of a copy and paste version of what we've already seen. You know, I mean, with the previous films, there was a lot of that story element where there's like a race against time, you know, where there's like a frantic pace where the characters have to do something before something else happens. And, you know, that was used a lot. In this film, it is to a degree, but it's not kind of one of the main things that drives the story forward. The character of Forky was amazing. For something that's just a plastic spork with a bunch of things glued to it, yeah, he was an amazing character. And again, you know, there was none of that sort of thing where the new toys come in, so the toys are worried that they're going to be replaced or anything. Like, this was a fresh story, and I loved that so much about it. As far as some of the new characters, Christina Hendricks plays the doll that I mentioned before, Gabby, and I loved her character dynamic. I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't want to spoil anything, but her character sort of starts out one way and you think things are going to go in a certain direction, but then there's a change, but it's justified. Like, there's this whole sort of redemption angle and stuff, and I just loved how they handled her character. Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key play a couple of characters, Ducky and Bunny, and look, they were there for comedic relief, but it's Key and Peele. Of course they're going to be comedic relief, and it worked so well. They were just fantastic in this film. But of course, the new character that everybody is talking about is Keanu Reeves as Duke Kaboom, the stunt motorcycle rider. Man, he was amazing, and I loved so much that Keanu Reeves wasn't just doing his normal, usual deadpan Keanu Reeves. Like, he had a lot of inflection in his voice. He really acted in this film more than he probably ever has before. So a lot of the supporting characters from the previous films are kind of taken aback a little bit, like T-Rex, the Potato Head, Slinky. This is very much Woody and Buzz and Bo Peep's story, and I gotta say, I loved Bo Peep in this film. You know, she's kind of been living as a lost toy on her own for 7 years, I believe it was. And, you know, she was this independent, resourceful female character. And that is one thing this film got absolutely right, was its treatment of great female characters without shoving feminism down our throats, as a lot of movies have been these days. That's not a statement against feminism by any means, but there have been a lot of instances lately where, you know, movies kind of have been just shoehorning it in to be politically correct. This movie nailed it. We had a lot of really great female characters who were just so well driven and sensible. As far as the animation goes in this thing, you know, we've had all these years, like decades, since the first film, and obviously, you know, things have advanced since then, and we've been watching as CG animated films get better and better, but nothing will prepare you for how amazing this movie looks. Like, the photorealism of the backgrounds and everything, or even the toys themselves, look so much more realistic this time around. Human characters are still given that sort of Pixar stylistic look, but, you know, hair textures and clothing and everything was just so real. Particularly after watching the first film last night, which, you know, I mean, it was such a great story, it didn't really matter that the CG was, well, at the time it was groundbreaking, but in today's standard, it's, you know, it's a bit rudimentary. But this time around, we've got an absolutely cracking story, great CG animation, voice cast was just fantastic, the acting amazing. I mean, Josh Cooley, the director, this is his first feature film, and he nailed it, absolutely nailed it. What a start to your feature film directing career. If there was anything that I would criticize this film, it's really minor nitpicky things that don't matter. Like, at one point, Woody has his string pulled, and, you know, you gotta let go of the string in order to make the toy talk. Well, his string goes out and he talked, but, like, you know, who cares? So look, that being said, there was nothing I could fault this film over. It was just so much fun to watch. Like, I was just grinning from ear to ear through the whole thing. It is a little bit emotional, not quite to the extent that Toy Story 3, like, turns me into a bawling mess. Like, this one, there were trickles, but yeah, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't too much. So look, that being said, yeah, I seriously couldn't find any fault with this film, and I'm gonna give Toy Story 4 a 10 out of 10. And I do have to say, make sure you stick around till the very, very, very end of this film, like after the credits, because there's a little something, a little Easter egg in there that happens that's kind of a payoff for a joke that was left hanging in the film, so make sure you stick around to the very end. It is so worth it. So I just want to say a really big thank you to everybody at Shout Communications for putting on the preview screening tonight. Yeah, it was a blast. You guys did a great job. We had so much fun, and if you guys have seen Toy Story 4, let me know what you think, or being that it's not out for a few days, what's your favorite Toy Story film? Let me know down below. And when you do see Toy Story 4, come back and let me know what you think of it then. So drop me some comments either here, Facebook, or Twitter. All the social media links are in the description below, because I like to talk about movies and I would love to talk about movies with you. Catch you next time.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.